Alright, in this video I want to speak on the topic of online sextortion and sexual blackmail as a victim's guide. Who am I? For obvious reasons I don't want to say that, because the last thing I want is retaliation from organized crime. And I hope that's understandable. They're pretty good at finding out identities and finding out who people are. And last thing is I want that they are on my ass for making this video. So I have been a victim of this thing myself, and luckily enough, I was old enough at that point, in my mid-30s, right, to have the maturity to see it as what it is. And even for me, this was very stressful and very, sleepless night kind of thing, right? But I got over it, and I just wanted to share my grander view on this whole thing that might affect you. So, what I'm not talking about here, and that's very important because I see some videos where people are condescending, like, ha ha ha, what idiot sends naked pictures of themselves to strangers online? Who's doing that? I don't want to be moral or condescending or anything like that on this topic, because these people who are condescending, they either don't understand human nature, or they have just not met their match online when it comes to a predator. And I'd say pretty much everybody can be affected by that situation, starting really at the age of 11, 12, going all the way up to 70 plus. And from a newspaper article, I don't know how true it is, it affects mostly men. So, because women and girls are mostly blackmailed for more material, more videos, more pictures, while men are just outright blackmailed for money. And therefore, it only makes sense that males are more affected by this. So, what I'm not trying to talk about here is how to avoid getting into a situation like that, because you might already be in it. And that's why you're watching that video. And all these videos, you're like, yeah, you should never send pictures. Yeah, I understand. You should never go on a webcam naked with a straight... I get it. But it does happen. Probably hundreds of thousands of times a day. So, the first thing you must understand about this is you are the victim of a serious crime. And none of that is your fault. So, no matter what the blackmailer on the other end says, or what they try to make it sound like it's your fault that you're wasting their time, or even, they might even go out there and saying that masturbating on camera is a crime. No, it's not. It's really not. In most parts of the world, I'm not sure about some countries in the Middle East or so, but in most parts of the world, it's not a crime to have done what you have done, like send naked pictures of yourself to somebody, or masturbated on camera, or even done some more kinky stuff, However, what they are doing is asking for money or asking for more material with the threat of exposing you is a serious crime. It's sexual exploitation. It is like, in some countries, the prison sentences for that are life. Like, they are really, really bad. So, there's this... I just saw this one video of one guy who exploited dozens of girls online, underage girls that was, I think, mostly underage teenagers. He got 101 years in prison. I think rightfully so, but this is a serious crime that is committed, and you are the victim of a serious crime. So this is really important to understand. Do not let the blackmailer talk you into guilt, because you're really not. You're not guilty. So this is very, very important to know. Now, who are these people? And you might think that it's somebody local, or it is somebody in your own country. it could really be anyone, and that is the catch here. The perpetrator could be literally a few houses down, or knows you from high school, or they could be at the other end of the world. They could be in the Philippines, they could be in Nigeria, they could be in Thailand, they could be in Russia or a former Russian republic. All these countries I just mentioned are notorious for having professional scam organizations, professional scam companies that do precisely that. And when you watch some other videos on YouTube where they actually raid a place in the Philippines, yeah, it's like 6-7 people in a room. They all speak perfect English. They just paid attention in school, right? And they are exploiting people from all around the world. So understand that you are up against, most likely, if they're asking for money, most likely you are up against a racket, against a criminal organization that has perhaps perfected the art of blackmailing people. So if everything sounds super convincing and they sound super, they come on strong, they seem very compelling in what they say, it's only because you're not the only one they're dealing with. They are probably doing this to many, many people. Maybe 2, maybe 5, maybe 20, who knows? So keep that in mind. You are up against a mighty, mighty enemy there. Okay? And it, as I said, it's a serious crime. So what you also have to understand is this is a crisis negotiation situation, and especially if you're younger, this is over your head. It totally is. It's almost like you need some sort of a rhetorical training on how to deal with, like, almost like a hostage situation, and you are the hostage. So I totally understand that this situation is so over so many people's head that it's overwhelming, and that's exactly what the perpetrators want. So my first advice, and we'll get into much more advice later down this video, so stay tuned. Stay calm, take a step back. They want you to be in a state of panic. They are really, really good at inducing it. They know the triggers, and they will play them on you. So stay calm, take a deep breath, take a step back, and just try to evaluate the situation you're in from a logical standpoint. So the first step is really, is it a complete scam? Meaning if they have nothing on you, then you have nothing to fear. There are mass emails that some scammers send out that contain your phone number and say, oh, or that even contain your physical address. All of these things are public record in the United States. It's fairly easy to find out if you're in the US where somebody lives. So don't be surprised if they have tidbits of information about you. It could also be from like hacks, where other websites got hacked and they got like not even your password, but your password hint, like what street did you grow up in, and they know it because some database got hacked a year ago. So if they say they got your pictures, but they are not showing them to you, or they say they have a video of you, or they somehow hacked your phone and recorded you while masturbating, if they don't show the proof that they have it, most likely they don't. So it's very important. Many of these blackmailers will show you that the pictures or the videos are still of a video or something. At this point, you know they have something. But if they don't do that, chances are they have nothing, and they're just playing hot potato with you. They're just trying to make you crazy. And sometimes they have something, like they show you a picture, they show you a video, and then they make up that they know who your family is, but they really don't. So determine if it's a complete scam. And I almost touched on that, but if they say let's say they really have something on you, they recorded you doing something, or like naked, have a naked picture of you, or a few, or even a whole collection of pictures, evaluate what they really have. Because they might pretend that they have much more than they were showing you, just because it just sounds so plausible. Pretty much everything they said was right, and now they say, well, I got your father's phone number. Or I got you, while they then they could just say what the phone number is, couldn't they? But if they don't, chances are, again, they don't have it. Now, this one is tough because I wouldn't be too forthcoming. I wouldn't be too asking them too much. But if they just dangle around ideas, what they have and what they could do, but they show no proof, don't believe it. They are liars, so don't believe it. Now, this is the biggest advice that every video or every article on this subject gives you. Do not give them any money. Every expert agrees on that. I want to touch on why that is, because if you give them money, they will 100% sure come back for more. And that puts you into a situation where at some point you have to say no. But at this point you have lost money. So every expert agrees, don't give them money. A small exception, and use that with caution, is in the heat of the very first moment. Because the very first moment, let's say you had a video chat with supposedly a girl or a boy online, right? And now they turn around and say, hey, I recorded you, here's your video. Pay me X amount of money. As this is totally a gun to your head situation, you have to see it as such. Because imagine you are held at gunpoint. If you make any rapid movements, they might pull the trigger. And the danger of getting exposed is the very highest, like the minute they show you they have the material. And as stupid as it sounds, at this point, you might want to comply, but not entirely. So, and I'll touch on that a little later. Giving them money is a lose-lose proposition, as I already said. They will come back for more. So you lose money and your situation has not improved. And no matter how compelling they are, that they say they will delete the material, they will show you how to delete the material. Digital photos or videos, once they have them, they can deceive you left and right, saying, oh look, I have deleted the file. It means nothing. It means simply nothing. So do not believe that. Do not send money, even if they swear on the heavens and the sun and the stars that they will delete your material if you send them money. Don't do it. Small exception, as I touched on before. Let's evaluate the situation from their standpoint for a moment, just so you get more perspective on where they are coming from. In most cases, they only want one thing, and that is your money. Except for when most likely younger girls get exploited by men, they want more pictures. But that's under 5% of the cases, perhaps, according to this news article that I read. I'm not sure how precise I was. But they want your money. And once they expose you, once they go all out with your information and your pictures and send them like what they threatened to do, they lost all leverage because they understand that now it's over. Because how will they threaten you with more? Even if they do some sort of a release just parts of it and put it on a Twitter account or put it on a website and say, listen, this is here now, pay me some to remove that. Or as soon as they publish something, or as soon as they go all out and inform people, friends, family, whatever, they lost all leverage over you, and they understand that. So the only thing that really makes them money is your fear of exposure. It's not the exposure itself. The exposure itself is a lose-lose proposition for them. Now understand that, because exposing you on the internet, to even if it's something as simple to your friends, family, contacts on social media, this is work for them because they have to open up a fake account, they have to go in, and every little step they take leaves information, leaves tracks, leaves clues who the actual blackmailer is. So that is really, they do work for which they don't get paid. They could spend more time on finding new victims or finding out interesting new ways to get money from existing victims. So exposing is a situation for them that doesn't make them money. There's some, especially the professional ones, the rackets, are probably not gonna expose you if you follow my strategies that I'll lay out a little later in that video. So you have to evaluate what is the worst that can happen. So the worst that it can happen is probably what they tell you. It is they take your picture, your video, or the material they got, and you send it to, let's say, they know your Facebook account, they know who your family, who your friends is, and they will send it to them. That's the most common threat they have. Another common one is to make it go viral on the internet, which doesn't really happen anyway. So don't overthink that one. But if they send it to your friends and family, what's the worst that can happen? Most people who watch this video right now or are affected by this are a little younger, so their perspective on all of these things might be a little limited, let's say it this way. So let's evaluate the potential impact on your life. So if they are sending your videos to your parents, you would be surprised. Your parents are probably on your side there. They might be surprised. They might be, what did you do, daughter? What did you do, son? What is that? They might be a little, the initials, and then at this point, you're more or less forced to tell them anyway what happened. So you tell them, listen, I got exploited by a stranger on the internet. And once you say that to your parents or to other family members, uncles, grandparents, uncles, aunts, they will understand that. If it's a significant other, like a girlfriend or a wife or a, husband or boyfriend, for that matter, might be a little more complicated, depends on your relationship. They might be surprised, they might be very supporting, very comforting, even though you didn't think that, or they might be really upset. But that's life. If you've been married long enough, you know that there are good times and bad times, and this would just be one of another bad time, in the worst case. Yeah, that's if you're in a committed relationship. But if you're not, and you're young and maybe still living with your parents, the impact would be very limited. When it comes to friends from school, maybe college or something, there will be gossip, yes. They might show your stuff around. But this gossip will fade, and you might have a really bad week at school. But the world moves so fast right now. In the greater scheme of things, people talk behind your back anyway, and now they have a real reason to talk behind your back. If it makes the rounds in your school, talk to the principal, talk to a guidance counselor, talk to somebody at school. Say, listen, this is what happened to me. I'm a crime victim here of sexual exploitation online, and now the picture gets passed around here in school, and I'm suffering from it. And just have the spine to seek help at your school if that is an issue. When it comes to employers, if you have a low-paying job, let's say you're flipping burgers at a fast food joint, do you think they fire you over that? If they do, find another burger job, right? Most likely they wouldn't. It's just improbable that they would. Over something like that. If you can explain the situation, like you fell for something online, there was a predator that took advantage of you, and I think most people would understand that. So, I talked about that. It's probably not that great of a deal if you really take a step back and evaluate the situation, the greater scheme of things. And me being in my mid-30s, being old, quote-unquote, I have an easier say. I understand if you're 17 and this happens to you, you think your world will collapse. I understand that. But just maybe believe me here that it wouldn't. And life's long enough, and you and everybody around you will get over it. And after all, a video of you masturbating is not that special, let's say it that way. Because, just from my experience, I don't want to sound creepy, but everybody is doing it. Every healthy grown adult is doing it, and everybody who's been around the block a little bit understands what kind of situation you were in. So don't let it get to you too much, because it's really not that much of a big deal. So what do you think? Are Facebook, Google, and all the other social media sites and platforms, are they complicit in this? Hell no. Because Facebook, for example, is the worst platform for them to spread your picture, because it's not like you can just upload a naked picture of somebody or a video of somebody masturbating to Facebook without it going down really, really, really fast. Facebook has an AI that looks what's in the picture, what's in the video, and if they think it's a sexual act or there's something, it's a nude person, that picture will not make it on Facebook. It will be there maybe for 2 minutes or something, and then will go away. As soon as somebody complains seeing the picture, it goes away. And if you can always, report a picture, say it's sexual activity or it's sexual content, and Facebook takes it down really fast. And especially if you are a minor, if you're under 18, say it's child pornography, because it is. If you're under 18 and somebody posts it, they are in for some good trouble once they find them. So, no. Also, if they threaten you to put it on hundreds of websites with like a blaster, or they put it on Xhamster, or they put it on any of these sites, and then Google will pick it up. No, Google won't. Because Google is notorious for not indexing shady parts of the internet. And if it makes it on a reputable site, like Pornhub, for example, Pornhub will take it down right away if you complain about it. Really, they're really fast, because otherwise they could be complicit in a crime. And that's the last thing that Pornhub wants to do. And Google will not index shady sites. So even if they put your name next to the video and blast it all over the internet, chances are that nobody who doesn't go to result 500 on the Google search with your name and city will find it. So all of these websites are smarter than that. They don't want to be complicit in a crime like that, and they are really good at finding this. If somebody uploads that to YouTube, complain about the YouTube video, it goes down within 5 minutes. So don't fear too much. So now let's get to the action steps, and because that's probably what you're looking for. And I have to say one thing first. Suicide is not an option, and I don't mean this as a joke, because there are 2 or 3 videos on YouTube where they talk about that actually younger people most of the time, and one guy was as old as 21, took their lives over this, because it just grew over their heads so much. So please, I already tried to explain how it is not such a big thing, and maybe even if you don't believe me at hearing it for the first time, think about it again, right? Suicide is not an option. If you feel like you have thoughts of suicide, this is the USA number of the Suicide Prevention Helpline. They're there 24/7. Pick up the phone, stop this video right now, give them a call. If you're in another country, UK has a number like that. Pretty much every country has a suicide prevention helpline. Give them a call right now. Okay? So suicide is not an option. Not over this, please. The greater scheme of things does not warrant suicide in this case. Even if you don't believe me right now, then seek help, seek counseling. Now, again, do not give them any money. I only explained that in this one particular situation, like when you're more or less at gunpoint right the first minute, so to speak, maybe try to negotiate them to the lowest amount possible and pay. But other than that, do not give them any money. No matter what amount it is, it will not go away. The situation will not go away by paying them money. You'll only lose money, and they'll ask for more. 100% guaranteed. 100% guaranteed. But while still chatting with them, so if you're still in contact with a blackmailer, here are my action steps. Stall. Stall them. Greyball them. In case you don't know what greyballing is, if you Google it, you find something about Uber using greyballing on authorities, because it's a very effective technique. Greyballing basically means trying to avoid them by deflecting, by being uninteresting, by just saying things that don't really answer their questions, that don't play into their narrative. So be uninteresting. As you're dealing with a criminal organization, most likely, you're dealing with a racket, you're dealing with a sadist, you're dealing with really, really, really scum of the earth type of people. You're more than fine to lie, deceive, or, my favorite, play dumb. Because it takes them in a situation where they have to over-explain themselves, and where it puts them in a defensive situation if you just somehow don't understand them right and make mistakes. Do not be, and this is very important, do not be offstandish, do not be cocky, do not be overly smart. You are in a losing situation. You are the underdog in this particular negotiation you're having. But your best way to go is gray ball, which means be uninteresting, deflect, lie, deceive, play dumb. So let's say they want $500 right away to not, disseminate your pictures or videos. Say you don't have the money. Say you get your next paycheck next week, and until then, the only thing you can scrap together is $50. If you're lucky, it could be $45, you're not sure. Just be super complicated, and if they agree for the $45, maybe send them the $45. But then that is the first and last payment ever. So, being really weirdly uninteresting and sloppy and hard to grasp, if you're trying to reason with them logically, you lose. If you reason with them a little bit like a person who has a screw loose, don't overdo it though, but a little bit, on the slow side. They have a hard time, and they probably the discussion is not, the negotiation is not going too well for them, and there's nothing really they can do about it. After the conversation, like when they let you go, right, block them. And as a little bonus, you can report them. Pretty much every, like Skype and Kik and all of these chatting apps that you might use have a report feature, so you can report the account, but not before taking screenshots and documenting what the conversation was. So block them, and as a bonus, report them. If they're using text messages, like SMS text messages, they most of the time use a number that is a voice over IP thing, so they're not going to use a real phone provider. You can research how to find out what the provider is, and then file a complaint with them. That is not all that hard, but you might want to Google that. So these phone numbers go down really fast if they are used for scams like that. So if they later approach you through a different channel, don't reply and block them right away. Now, if it's a day later, if it's a week later, if it's a month later, and some come a year or 2 years later, if they find a new phone number, if they find a new account, if they find something new about you, they contact you again, say, here are the pictures, now pay me. Do not, and even if they just say hi or hello or how are you, how have you been, do not engage. Don't reply and block the new accounts, and as a bonus, report them. Now go through everything. All your social media accounts, all your email accounts, all your accounts that are somewhat public facing. Maybe even your parents' accounts, maybe even accounts of your loved ones. Make sure you change all the passwords so they do not get access to your account. Sometimes they hire hackers trying to get into your accounts. So it's rare, but they might do that, right? So these are criminals, they have access to hackers. So secure all your accounts, use long, complicated passwords for all, set up two-factor authentication for your accounts. Set the privacy settings in your accounts to the highest possible. On Facebook, that's a little bit complicated these days, but there are tutorials online, a 6-7 step thing you do with your Facebook account, so it basically blocks off everything. They might already have your friends list, they might already have that, but close up your account, well, close it altogether if you don't need it, or set the privacy standards so high that the account is barely visible. So that's one thing you can definitely do and you should do right away to secure that. Oh, by the way, if they threaten you to send something in the mail, in the U.S. postal or like through the postal thing, it's unlikely to do it because that's another crime. In the United States, using the postal service for crimes is a federal offense that would get you in deep trouble. So in the U.S., it's unlikely. In other countries, I'd say so as well, because it's also a lot of work for them mailing something and leaves tracks and traces, and there might be video of them putting it in the mailbox and so on and so forth. It's unlikely they do that. That just as a side note. This is really important. If you're underage, talk to your parents, for heaven's sake. And underage is most commonly referred to as under 18 and under, or under 18. It is child exploitation. If you are 16 or 17 and you think you're so far from a child, you don't want to be a child, you are not a child. Legally you are, and you can use that to your advantage in this particular situation. So that's really, really important. Talk to your parents. You'll be surprised. They will be on your side. Say, hey, go to your mom or to your dad, whoever you have the little bit better connection. Sit them down and say, Mom, Dad, I messed up. Here's what happened, and lay it out to them. It's hard. I understand. It's toughest thing in your life, maybe, so far. There will be tougher things later in life if you're a teenager, trust me. But this is... Sit down with them, talk to your parents, and seek help from them, because they might know right away how to conquer this. They will be on your side. They might be a little upset with you for a minute. Most parents wouldn't even be upset with you for a minute. So go to your parents, tell them. The other big question is talk to law enforcement. It goes for everybody. Most likely that's a good idea. Local law enforcement depends on where you live. In the United States, if you're living in a bigger city, they might have experts on cybercrime. So it's a good idea to go to your local law enforcement if you're living in a bigger city. If you're living in small town America, there's only a sheriff and maybe 2 or 3 employees, and they will be understanding and comforting, but they will not really be able to help. They might refer you to a bigger police department. They might do all of these things. That could be a lot of work and a lot of drag. But what you can do is go to www.ic3.gov. This is the Internet Crime Reporting Center. It goes straight to the FBI, and you can file a complaint. Be as specific as you can, because don't be don't write like 3 or 4 pages of narrative. Be very specific. Say, this and that Skype account contacted me, and so on. Like, they want to hear account names, phone numbers, payment information. Like, if it's a PayPal account, bingo, most of the time. The FBI knows right away who that is. If they use PayPal, if they want to pay Venmo accounts, Bitcoin, other cryptocurrencies, all of these details, put them all in there. Like, chances are you'll never hear from them again. However, I'm quite sure, I don't know how they work internally, but I'm quite sure they're taking these reports seriously and group them together. So if 5 people report, oh, this particular Bitcoin address is asking for ransom or for blackmail payments, they might say, oh, this is a more serious threat, and then investigate it thoroughly, and you might, a year or 2 years down the road, hear from the FBI, and they might be asking you for more information. And it's really important. Do not delete anything, even though you feel compelled. Oh, I messed up. I got to delete this out of sight. Even the blackmailers might tell you to delete things. Don't. By all means, don't. If you have to, like, take screenshots and put them in a Dropbox folder that you encrypt, or you're smart enough to figure that one out. So you keep it in a safe place, all the evidence, collect all the evidence, especially payment information they are giving you, all the accounts. If there is a Facebook account involved, that one. If there's Skype accounts, Kik accounts, all of these things. Make sure you document that. And if you file a report with ic3.gov, make sure you give them all the identifiable information. And if you're underage, talk to your parents, and in coordination with your parents, file a complaint with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. You can also do that on ic3.gov. Because these people, on top of the whole FBI thing, will take this even to the next level. Law enforcement is strong in the United States. And in many other countries around the world, same thing. But when minors are involved, and if you are under 18, or it happened to you when you were under 18, you were a minor and you were an exploited child, okay? Use that to your advantage. It's really important. Now, one last advice, take a deep breath. Sit back and don't take it all too seriously. Don't let it get to you too much. Maybe you want to watch this video again, get into a few more details, because I was talking fast. I wanted to get a lot of information through. Watch it again. It's not all that bad. It certainly doesn't warrant anything extreme on your part. And even if you're getting exposed by these people, it will be a situation that you can fix. And sometimes in life, if it gets really harsh in life, you see who your real friends are and who totally stand by you if they happen to see a video or a picture of you naked. You see exactly who the people are who will be on your side and who the people would be who ridicule you. But as I outlined, the chances of exposure are fairly low if you follow my advice. And if push comes to shove, it's probably not as bad as you think. And that being said, well, thank you for watching the video. And if you found this helpful, you can help me a great deal if you hit the like button, like the thumbs up, the subscribe button, and ring the subscription bell. Because not so much for me, but this video then will get pushed up in the search results on YouTube, and when somebody Googles sextortion or blackmail, sexual blackmail, this video, if you found it helpful and you want other victims who are in the same shoes like you see this video, please, not for my sake, I'm probably not going to put too many more videos on this channel anyway, but I'm not doing this for money. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. This gives signals to YouTube that this is a good video, a video with real content, and it will help so many more people. And if you like, you can, and you can afford it, buy me a beer. I put some cryptocurrency addresses underneath the video for anonymity reasons, because nobody, I don't, as I said, the last thing I want is retaliation from organized crime. Buy me a beer, again, as this affects minors. If you're underage, of course, don't buy me a beer. But if you feel inclined, buy me a non-alcoholic beverage of your choice. You'll never meet me in life anyway, but I so appreciate a small donation if you do that. Thank you so much, and have a good night.